Final segment with Dr. Bob Bowman here in studio with us. Coming up in the next segment for the rest of the hour, we've got Reverend Ted Pike joining us to break down the hate crimes legislation. It's passed the House and is so draconian it makes my head spin. I mean, it just outright gets rid of the First Amendment. Okay, Bob, you were continuing. You know, looking at Obama, everything that Clinton set up was a foundation for Bush. Everything Bush set up was a foundation now for Obama. And Obama, whether it's draconian gun control or expanding wars or bringing in more corporate lobbyists or banking looting, it doesn't matter what it is, or attacks on free speech with all this legislation. I mean, it's even got my head spinning that they're moving this fast and they're getting so much of it passed or on the verge of passing. Is this system starting to panic, or in your view, I mean, speak to that. Do you agree they're rushing things right now? And why are they rushing things? Is it because things are going so well, or is this a failing forward because they see the audit of the Fed building? They see people becoming knowledgeable about the power structure and its architecture. They see the military waking up. What's happening?
Oh, I think they're very worried. They're worried about all of us dissenters. They're worried about Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich working together, old friends of mine. They're worried about the 9/11 truth movement. They're worried about Obama and their control over him. I think they're greatly worried, and they're trying to get done what they need to get done. I sent Obama an inaugural address. He didn't use it, but those are the things that he ought to do. He needs to reverse course. He needs to get rid of all 1,100 signing statements of George W. Bush and promise that he's not going to do that, because the Constitution doesn't give the president the power to make legislation or unmake it. It gives that to the Congress, the people's representatives. He needs to do away with Presidential Directives 20 and 51, which give him dictatorial powers. He needs to tell Congress that they've got to repeal the misnamed Patriot Act and the Military Commissions Act. He has to get rid of all of the executive orders and legislation which is the foundation of martial law and the incarceration of the U.S. citizens.
You know, that's a key point I've forgotten to even make in this film we're making, so please make it now, Dr. Bowman. I mean, with more details. He's keeping everything Bush is doing on the signing statements and the police state and the Patriot Act, and now saying, yeah, even if these detainees are found not guilty in kangaroo courts, we're still going to hold them. I mean, that's throw you in the dungeon, throw away the key, the bedrock of tyranny, is it not?
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's got to do away with that. He's got to release all those detained without charge. He has to really close Guantanamo Bay and tell the American people, don't worry, we'll find somewhere else for Bush and Cheney. Right? I mean, he's got to make those bold steps. He's got to give us real change we can believe in. That's what he promised. That's what he has to do. The American people are not going to be satisfied with chump change, and we know better.
Okay, well, they're starting. President Obama's poll numbers are starting to really slide, and a lot of his supporters are saying, where is the change? This looks like more of the same, same globalist corporate agenda, same New World Order. What is going to happen when they try to give the Federal Reserve this fall total power, not just over banking, but over all financial operations, from a hot dog stand to a golf club park? I mean, what's going to happen as people realize it is change, but more change towards tyranny and consolidation of power? Because clearly, right now, that's where it's going. If Obama doesn't change course, what do you see happening in the future domestically, on Main Street, but also with Iran and Pakistan? If he stays the course, where is this agenda taking us?
It has been said by some very good people, those who make
peaceful revolution
impossible make violent revolution inevitable.
Start over. That was great. I interrupted it, helping you out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Those who make peaceful change impossible make violent revolution inevitable. I heard that many times when I was sharing the stage with William Sloane Coffin. And, of course, he got it from the Kennedys. And it's true. The only way we're going to save this country is through a nonviolent revolution. We need exactly what Obama promised.
Well, I described a nonviolent revolution. Here's Ocean Spray cranberry drink. And I couldn't buy this for the last decade because it had high fructose corn syrup in it, which has been proven in a lot of studies to be linked to diabetes and a lot of problems. Also, for some reason, it has high levels of mercury. In fact, people won't believe it. Put the Washington Post up. Half of corn syrup products have mercury in it. And so I couldn't drink it. But now, suddenly, it has pure sugar cane in it as its ingredient. That was because the people stopped buying anything with high fructose corn syrup. Overnight, it's vanishing like a vapor at morning, like phantoms at dawn. There is a microcosm of us voting with our dollars and our ideas, and by getting the word out, person to person, and then voting with our dollars.
Yeah, and but right now, I am hoping that Obama will give us some real leadership.
Break down briefly on what's happening with the banking takeover, this engineered financial collapse. Are they going to be successful?
Well, they've already been successful in stealing hundreds of billions of dollars from the American people. It's, pump all the money to the top, promise the people it's going to trickle down, and, of course, it never does. And this is a part of it. Like I say, if they're too big to fail, they're too big to exist.
Absolutely. That said, just a few more quick questions while we've still got you here in studio with us before Reverend Ted Pike comes up. When you're out there across the land, when you're out there speaking to the people, I've already talked about H.R. 1207 to audit the Fed, having 250-plus sponsors. Even if the Senate runs a procedural scam and won't let it come to a vote, now the people are saying, why are you hiding this? What are you covering up? People are now discovering the Federal Reserve is the real dictatorship that sits above the whole country. And I'm just seeing everywhere across the political spectrum an awakening. Can you speak to auditing the Fed and speak to what you're seeing across the country with an awakening?
We not only need to audit the Fed, and I certainly support that, but eventually we need to disband the Fed. We need to get rid of it. Many people say, well, giving the Fed more power is okay because we're going to nationalize it. We're going to make it really federal. I mean, right now it's no more federal than Federal Express, but that doesn't do any good. If the Federal Reserve becomes really a part of the government, that's going to be okay only if the government is still not ruled by these global money elites. And right now it is. So we have to keep spreading the message that the Federal Reserve is private. It has private stockholders, like the Queen of England and a lot of other folks. They don't put a penny of their money at risk. When they loan to the U.S. government, they're not loaning their own money. They're just putting an entry in a ledger. And they're getting hundreds of billions of our tax dollars in interest payments every year when not a penny of their money is at risk. What kind of a return is that? It's infinite percent.
This isn't even fractional reserve. This isn't even fractional reserve banking. This is just complete flim-flam fraud, and through this magic checkbook, they've gained the whole world. So, of course, they want to implode the economy and get us into debt. That's how they get control of us. That's how they get the real assets. Well, you're traveling across the country on a speaking tour. Folks can find out more, of course, at the website.
ThePatriots.us.
The Patriots with an S.us. Dr. Bob Bowman, it's great having you here. We didn't have time to get into when you started speaking out against the Star Wars program as a decapitation weapon,
right.
How you experienced the rigged game. You said GE came and offered you a big buyout?
Oh, yeah. I got attempted bribery, attempted blackmail. death threats, IRS harassment. I got 3 audits in 2 years. The FBI and the CIA called me in. They didn't like me speaking out and telling the American people it was an offensive weapon disguised as defense.
What did the CIA say when they called you in?
Well, they didn't like the fact that I was traveling overseas, speaking against actions of the U.S. government. And, as if not agreeing with government actions was somehow unpatriotic. And, this whole idea is why we have to insist
on free speech.